Welcome to the BuyBox Experts podcast. We bring to light the unique opportunities brands face in today's e-commerce world.
Hi, I'm James Thompson, one of the hosts of the BuyBox Experts podcast. I'm a partner with BuyBox Experts and the former business head of the Selling on Amazon team at Amazon, as well as the first account manager for the Fulfillment by Amazon program. I'm the co-author of a couple of books on Amazon, including the recent book, Controlling Your Brand in the Age of Amazon. Today's episode is brought to you by BuyBox Experts. BuyBox Experts takes ambitious brands and makes them unbeatable. When you hire BuyBox Experts, you receive the strategy optimization and marketing performance to succeed on Amazon. We also support investors with due diligence services. Go to buyboxexperts.com to learn more. Before I introduce our guest today, I want to send a big shout out to the team at Getida, a global leader in Amazon FBA auditing and reimbursements. Getida analyzes your Amazon data, reconciles your FBA inventory, and files claims for reimbursements on your behalf. To learn more, check out getida.com. Today's guest is Claus Rosenberg, the founder and CEO of multiple firms that simplify the journey for entrepreneurs building their own businesses. Claus has built 12 companies, had over 1,000 employees, and raised over 20 million euros in funding. As much as we could have a discussion on our guest's journey through these many, many organizations, I actually invited Claus today to join us today to talk about his role as an executive coach, which he does today for professionals at all stages of their career. Claus, welcome, and thank you for joining us today on the BuyBox Experts podcast.
James, thank you, and thanks for having me. And thank you for the introduction. Yeah, with 12 companies in the back, at least what I can sort of recall, there are both failures and successes, of course, and I think that is part of what I'm using as my foundation as a coach to my coachees, to the people that I'm helping, grow themselves and take them and themselves to the next level of where they could be.
Let me start by asking you. Here in the United States, we have this very strange concept of the self-made man, someone who has found great success without the help of anyone else. And as someone who has built a dozen businesses from scratch, what is your perspective on this concept?
I think that's a bit of a myth. And I think the whole coaching idea and that high performers and high achievers, Steve Jobs, the Google founders, and part of the management team and everybody, it was just made clear to everyone a couple of years ago. So the veil was pulled aside that all these people had coaches. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you have read the book, The $1 Trillion Coach, it is a book written about the coach for the many, many founders and entrepreneurs and leadership team in the US and in brand names like Google, like I mentioned, and others.
Right.
So I do think that of myself, I grew up with parents that were entrepreneurs. So be that you are coached by them or you see them, how they react and what they do and how they overcome obstacles, etc., or you are actually sitting down and talking with them. So I might say that, I might have coaching from, the nurture of how I was grown up. But I think as a founder, you can do it yourself, but you will face a lot of these obstacles, ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneurship and being an entrepreneur, as I say it so many times, it's an extreme sport. This is really, really hard.
Yes.
It is, you are bound to get bruised and broken, whether physically or mentally. So therefore, if you have a coach in your corner, you have a better chance and a better ability to fall 7 and get up 8, literally, get back into the game as fast as possible when something hits you.
So I work with entrepreneurs in the Amazon space, and I regularly see people wanting to solve everything themselves. Otherwise, asking for help might be seen as a signal of weakness. Maybe it's a macho male thing, but I'm curious, how do you help senior executives think about the process of becoming more comfortable asking for coaching, asking for help, even if it's out of sight, it's not well known that you have a coach. how do you get people thinking about, gosh, maybe I do need to have somebody in the corner helping me?
You're absolutely right. It is there's a lot of ego involved, and this is one of the things that I with coaches start to acknowledge that as male or as alpha females,
Sure.
we tend to think that, and we tend to think that the world look upon us as we should know everything. You're the CEO, you're the founder, you must have all the answers. You're the oracle, and I'm trying to make my clients and the coaches understand that there is strength in vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
There is strength meaning that your teammate, team members, your employees, the people around you will actually respect you more if you come across authentic and saying, what, this, I don't really know how to answer that right now, but let me get back to you, or whatever the situation may be. But there is strength in vulnerability, and openness and communication. So starting out with a coach and coachee session, this relationship has to devolve and evolve over time. And it becomes very personal. So the first couple of sessions is always about, feeling each other out, then, build a rapport and also energy level.
Yes.
Some people comes in and they are high energy and they are, want to be, and I need to match that. And others comes in and much more pensive and quiet and thoughtful, and I would need to match that. But once we start building trust and relationship, I am the one saying the things that nobody else maybe says or asks. And there is nothing, you are paying me to ask you those questions. You might even know that you should have asked yourself that question. You might even know the answer to that question, but you haven't faced the question. So I'm the one there saying, what's going on right here? How can we deal with this?
So let me ask you, let's say I do recognize that I might need to get some help. So the question then is, why would I hire an executive coach versus a consultant versus an agency? What are these different types of organizations meant to accomplish in helping me solve whatever the problems are that I have as a business professional?
So I very often get asked the comparison between a mentor and a coach.
Yes.
Because I work in the startup environment and founders and stuff. So a mentor or a consultant is very much someone who has a very specific and technical knowledge and answer to your questions. So how do I calculate my customer acquisition cost and how do I calculate my lifetime value? You go to a mentor, he will sit you down and tell you, this is what you include in your customer acquisition cost.
Yeah.
This is how you estimate lifetime value. And sort of you can walk away and say, great, thank you for teaching me that. That was a 15-minute call, appreciate it. Whereas a coach, it is my job to help you as an individual move from where you are today to where your potential could be, to help you grow. And that growth also benefits then your business because it becomes very personal. There are 3 areas in life. Energy, that is how we live, what we eat, how we sleep.
Yes.
Love, this is our relationships, this is people around us, this is family, and then work. So energy, work, and love. We have to address all 3 things. You cannot wanting to show up as a world-class entrepreneur, founder, Amazon black belt if you are not taking care of your energy levels, if you don't sleep well, if you don't eat well, if you don't exercise well, and you cannot expect to show up as well if you have a broken relationship at home and you are not connected with your wife and children and family and stuff. Everything is intertwined. It's you who's showing up. So we have to address all of that, and that's a coach job. That is my job, to get into all those corners. So much different from a mentor. I think that is more specifically targeted to a technical term or a thing you need to learn.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever hire a McKinsey to come in and tell me how to fix my broken relationships at home.
No.
But you find yourself then in situations where, because of the nature of talking to your coachees about things that are very personal at home, I mean, there has to be trust that gets built up over time. And it feels like there might be peeling back the layers of the onion to get to the real understanding of who this person is that you're working with and what's really driving them, what's really motivating, what's really holding them back. That's very deep discussions.
It is. And I want to say right up front, and I also say that I'm not a therapist. Mm-hmm. So I'm not the guy that we will go back to your 5-year-old childhood where you were disappointed by your parent or something like that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Though, you know, it will pop up at some point. I had a CEO coming to me and was very, avoiding non-confrontational, avoiding conflicts, avoiding addressing the team members, with conflictual messaging and conversations.
Okay.
And of course we could peel that back if we wanted to and find out, maybe there's some childhood trauma and stuff like that. But I don't really, I'm not a therapist. I don't, necessarily need to go there. I need to look ahead, so how do we fix this? Okay. How do we fix being, non-confrontational? Yes, you're right. There is a lot of things revealed, but again, I'm not messing around in what happened. You could go and see a psychotherapist and discuss that and get great results from that. I certainly recommend that to anyone, but I'm here to look ahead. How do we change this? How do we become being non-confrontational to go in and again address things?
So where does someone go about looking for an executive coach? How do you Google executive coaches? How do you find people and decide this is the person who I want to work with? How do you compare different types of options? What are the criteria you should be using to select an executive coach that is likely to meet your needs?
This is a great question, and it comes down to connecting. I think that most coaches will give you a free session or free call. Mm-hmm. That's the first place to start. Jump on a 20-minute, 30-minute call, see if you connect with that person, and then of course also this person's situation. I'm very clear. My sweet spot is entrepreneurship and founders. Just because for over 30 years I've been an entrepreneur, I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is to combine personal health, family, love, taking care of business, going through that emotional roller coaster.
Yes.
I would not recommend myself maybe as a coach for raising teenage daughters, because personally, I don't see myself as very successful at that. Yes. But I was successful in entrepreneurship and understanding founders. So that's what I would like to focus my coaches. So find someone that, first of all, you connect with and you feel a trust with initially, and also someone that maybe shares your story or shares your passion and shares your values. I think values are important.
So help me think through this idea of how long should someone expect to be using the services of an executive coach? Is there a certain minimum amount of time or maximum amount of time, or how do you determine this has run its course, or I'm not in a position to help you any further?
Well, normally a relationship with a coach and coachee is something that lasts about 3 months, but it can of course last longer than that, because normally when you come into a coach, because you want to have one issue solved. You have like, I am frustrated that I keep losing my relationship just because I'm a founder and entrepreneur and I work too much.
Okay.
I want to fix that issue. Let's say that's a good example. So that's what you come into a coach and want to have fixed. Stop burning my relationship, being able to have both things. Okay. So once we get down that route, there will be times when, we might have exhausted that. Things might have, come to better, but then there's other things. Then I actually also want to learn to combine having a physical exercise and taking care of my body and not eating so much junk, but I have a couple of habits I want to change. Okay. Yes. Then, then we go down that route a couple of sessions, and so you can sort of keep building on this relationship and constantly making yourself a little bit better every day, every session, every month, and it's a constant learning curve for us to become better humans, better fathers, better parents, better business people, better entrepreneurs. We can always grow. So if you are into personal growth, there is an endless opportunity of growth opportunities.
So I think of an executive coach providing new perspective and possibly guidance to help the coachee. When should the professional use that guidance or potentially ignore the guidance from the executive coach? How do you deal with people not necessarily listening to what you're saying?
That's also a good question, and I am not an oracle either. No one is. No one is perfect. So I may well get things wrong, and I might well give an advice. But the thing here is that it's very rarely me giving the advice. It is the coachee discovering a solution and adapting that new mentality or behavior or mindset. That is where the personal growth comes in. So I am less of a teacher than I'm a magnifying glass and a great reminder. Okay? So it might come to the point where you say, I discovered this, Claus, but I'm not ready to go down that route. Okay, fair enough. But I'm not telling you what to do, or I'm not telling the coachees what to do.
Right.
We will in this conversation find out why is it you keep putting off going to the gym. What is it? What is happening? You have stated clearly you want to go to the gym, you want to lose 20 pounds, you want to have more energy, you want to be more present with your wife and not fall asleep on the couch and all those things. Great. What is it that keeps putting you away from not doing these things that you want to do, not to show up who you want to show up as? And then you're going to find out, wow, okay, I have a really bad habit of this, that, and the other. And then might have accountability towards me to change that habit. And then, in a couple of weeks, suddenly it's fixed, it's solved. But I am less of a telling you what to do than I am putting a spotlight or magnifying glass of what you need to change and what you would like to change.
Among many of the entrepreneurs that I work with, they started the business from scratch. They have resisted delegating because there's a little bit of a Superman mentality here. And then eventually they get in over their heads. And so once they realize they have to hire staff, their lives do become easier, but they also become complicated because they have staff they have to manage. Given what you've done building your own businesses and hiring staff, if you were hiring employees to expand your own business, doing that for the first time, that first employee, that second employee that you're building, how would you as an executive coach help your coachees think about this type of problem? And I bring this up because this particular issue comes up over and over and over again among the types of folks that we deal with.
When it comes to hiring and when it comes to getting people on board into your business, which, let's be clear, it's your baby, it's your everything, maybe besides your wife and your kids. It is your everything. The first thing that you have to look at here, and for a long way, the only thing you have to look at here is values. What values does this person persist and have? Okay. And I say this because you are going to end up working very, very closely with this person on your baby, on your business. So if you are a person of high energy, sort of, supposed to be pumped every day and just happy to get into work, and you have someone coming in with an amazing CV and ticks all the right boxes, but you feel a light goes out when he walks in and and just sort of drags himself to the chair, and you just sorry guy, but here is the completely mismatch of values here. You value energized people, healthy people that are focused, and just an example, it could be integrity, it could be time management, it could be honesty and other things. There are so many values, and you should start by knowing your own values first and then look for those values. Okay, you cannot fill up a team with people that don't. It's going to be a drag. You're going to end up not liking it, and you're going to end up feeling not comfortable having them doing the things that you're asking them to do, because you feel, these guys, I'm here and they're there, he might know all these things, or she might know all these things, but oh my God, I have this distrust because of value misalignment. So get the values right. Most things can be learned. Amazon PPC, 100 courses out there. 2 months into it, the guy or the girl with the right values and the right mindset and the right drive will pick it up, learn it. Okay. Of course, there is experience and more knowledge in it, but most things nowadays can be picked up and learned very, very quickly.
Let's talk about your experience, because there's a little bit of a paradox of experience that we sometimes run into, where people who have lots of experience have to hold themselves back from believing they have the answers just because they have more experience than the person on the other side of the table. You have built so many organizations. You have so many experiences having done that. How did all of these experiences prepare you to become a coach? I mean, it's not necessarily a standard journey for an entrepreneur to say, I'm going to become a coach.
No, agree. First of all, I think, you have to be humble enough to know that, as I said, I'm not an oracle, and I have made many, many mistakes, and I use my mistakes as a great reminder that, I have also failed, and I have also done things the wrong way and gotten in bed with the wrong people and taken wrong decisions and routes. So that's a great reminder for myself to know that I don't know everything. But I think the knowledge the experience that I have over all these years, and as I said, gone from bankruptcy to exit, and everything in between, does allow me to, when a situation comes up, to first dive into what this person's would like to change or could change about, but then also sometimes throw in my own experiences. And I'm a little bit careful about that. So I will always say, this is what I experienced, and what I experienced doesn't necessarily either work for you or fit you. But just hear me out. Just hear what happened when I got cheated out by someone because I gave them a power of attorney that was extended too long. I don't know what, example. I'm just saying something. So I will tell them, this is what happened to me. You can see there's takeaways from that you can use. But first, we will be diving into your way of solving this, asking a lot of open-ended questions and seeing if we together can dive into finding a solution before I suggest something or share my story.
How did you decide to go into executive coaching?
I have always, as I said, I've always been an entrepreneur. This is the only thing I know how to do and the only thing I can do. And I've always liked to be part of the entrepreneurial community. When I moved to Madrid 6 years ago or something, I opened up the chapter of Startup Grind. And Startup Grind is a global entrepreneurial community built by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. And every month we had a fireside chat, an interview with an entrepreneur, so that the audience could ask questions to their entrepreneur and not just read the TechCrunch headlines of 100 million raised. That is, doesn't really give you much value of, how did you do it? So always been part of the entrepreneurial community and realized that there I would always be happy to provide my help and assistance and push it forward. And then I was contacted some years ago by an incubator, an accelerator, if I could be part of their team, becoming an in-house coach. And then I ended up, so today I'm coaching a lot of the WeWork and SoftBank companies coming into the WeWork lab, which is an incubator, an accelerator, and other accelerators in the world that I'm working with. But I'm still doing this quite exclusively in the sense that I still have 3 companies that I'm part owning.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
Yes. So I dedicate, mostly my Fridays to coaching. So I manage my time around Fridays that I will have, one-on-one coaching or group coaching sessions for the people. And honestly, I love serving. I love giving back. And when you help someone go from here to here and they are maximizing their potential, reliving their relationships, got more energy, and their business is on good track, what more do you want? That feedback is amazing.
You and I got connected through one of your other businesses, and I'd love you to talk to our audience a little bit about what you're doing in the e-commerce space, because that's something that we all understand.
Yes. So a couple of years ago, with partners in London primarily and investment bankers, they of course got very excited with the growth of e-commerce and the monetary opportunities there. And then we saw the growth of aggregators and all the money flowing into that space. And we had a conversation around what we should do in that space. And I said to them, well, from my perspective, coming as a founder and an entrepreneur 100%, I see a couple of services that is going to be required. One, and that goes back to my day as having a trading company. If you grow and you grow fast, you would never have enough capital to grow as fast as you could. It's always on the road. It's always on a ship. It's always in a warehouse. It's always on sort of payables or receivables. So I said, if e-commerce is growing so much, there will be a desperate requirement for capital for these companies to get capital. And because e-commerce is structured the way it is, a new product should be developed for these e-commerce, which was one thing. And the second, I said, there will be a need for these sellers to be able to find service providers and help when it comes to the M&A and selling their business, because you have no idea how different that is from running a day-to-day business. And when it starts to become merger and acquisition conversations, the whole song and dance around finding the right buyer and then the due diligence, it's a whole new game. And it's something that can, one, completely throw you off running your business and taking care of it. And two, you might end up leaving money on the table, or not getting the best and the fair value for all the hard work. So we decided to launch a service firm where we help e-commerces getting supply chain capital. And we do that with a partner from the US. And then we offer them more traditional exit services, meaning brokerage, finding a buyer for you, due diligence, investment memorandums, and helping you get a fair deal for all that hard work.
I can't think of a privately held seller business that I've talked to in the last 2 years that isn't thinking about, will somebody buy my business, and how do I grow faster by capitalizing my business better? So definitely two important pain points that you're addressing through that business.
And you know what? Everyone can go to LinkedIn or the internet and find, 10s or 20s aggregators. I mean, they are all out there, and then great. You can contact them yourself, and you can think, why should I have a broker in between? I think there is a number of things that is then left out from your thesis here. Is that one is, should I reach out to all of them, or should I just take the first three that answers my email back and dives in and starts talking to you? Secondly, in the beginning, you're always going to hear exactly what you want to hear if you have an interesting business, and they are going to be very, very happy to sign an LOI with you to take you sort of off the market and start massaging you to get to buy you. And then this is what happens then. Once that is happening, then it becomes down to business. Okay, then it's about chopping away on your sales price as much as possible, because at the end of the day, it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
And as a direct buyer to a seller, from a seller to a buyer, you are not in a position to do a hard call in a conversation. And this, no, thank you. This is BS. I'm going to walk away. Because if you do that, you have said, I'm going to walk away. A broker can do that. We can go in and say, listen, we are not happy with those terms. And, so thank you very much. And we can always play the good cop, bad cop. That's one thing. So throwing the wet net out wide enough that you get with a broker, making sure that the paperwork is professionally done with the right advisors and looks professional, but also negotiating better and harder when the chipping starts to happen. Okay. I'm not promising our clients that we're going to get more for their business because you have a broker, but I'm actually saying, listen, I think we might be able to reduce the discount that because we're going to argue that well. We're going to find out the arguments why we need to not be discounted so much, or the payment terms are going to be different than what they suggest.
Yep. So Claus, I want to go back to executive coaching. I want to close out our discussion today by asking you, for someone who has never had an executive coach, what are the effective ways to start the journey of integrating an executive coach into your professional life? If you realize you need coaching, you know you need to get started, but gosh, the stranger has now entered my life and keeps asking me questions that make me identify that I have gaps that I need to address. That can be overwhelming. So how do you help your first-time coachees to become comfortable, not just with you, but with the concept of what you represent?
We start small. Like with everything, we have to start small. So the first conversations, the first two conversations is more around mapping out, what's happening today. You might, in the first conversation, you might tell me what you would like to change.
Okay,
fair enough. So we got that up there as the North Star, or maybe a sort of a not so distant shore that we're going to get to. But then we're going to say, okay, let's first map out what is your day like? I want to know about your routines, your habits. Are you the 1 o'clock guy on your mobile phone and your laptop, and then you want to expect to wake up at 7 and be fully powered up and energized and show up as a world-class founder? Or, I need to know where you are. So we start mapping that out. You start sharing with me things, and I might drop in some things here that, have you considered, maybe that going to bed a little bit earlier, or take a digital sunset a little bit earlier, and we'll start to. Then I would, for those who accept sort of an accountability, then we would take small things, saying, okay, for the next week till we talk again, put me on this accountability charge. When are you taking your digital sunset? When are you going to shut off all digital stimuli and input so you can get a good night's rest?
Yep.
And there we will see that, we started at 1 o'clock or something, let's just say. And then, Monday, Tuesday goes to 11. And then you can see steadily it's 11 o'clock. And then when we meet again on Friday, I can sort of ask him, so how did that feel? How did that work out for you? Actually, I woke up much more energized, and I liked a lot. Small incremental steps, so that it builds rapport, it builds trust. Then we can start diving into, okay, so it starts small. We need to build that. It's a very personal thing.
Claus, I want to thank you for joining us today on the BuyBox Experts podcast. For our listeners who are interested in learning more about Claus and his executive coaching organization, please visit coachclaus.com and be sure to join us again next time on the BuyBox Experts podcast.
Thank you.
Today's episode is brought to you by Getida. Getida is a global leader in Amazon FBA auditing and reimbursements. Getida analyzes your Amazon data, reconciles your FBA inventory, and files claims for reimbursements on your behalf. No obligations, no hidden fees, just Getida recovering your money. Getida helps you get your money back into your pockets so you can focus on investing in more inventory and growing your business. To learn more, check out Getida.com. That's GETIDA.com.
Thanks for listening to the BuyBox Experts podcast. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web, and we'll see you next time.